Good morning, welcome back to the channel. It's been exactly 7 days since I bought my 1989 Citroen BX Flight. Quite a rare car. I'm really enjoying owning this vehicle, but I have a few questions. So without further ado, let's jump on board and we can talk about exactly what I meant. So here I am in the cabin of the BX. It's really a nice, comfortable place to be in. The seats are sort of very supportive, they're not too firm. So this car's actually only done about 32,000 miles. It's been used sparingly over the last 32 years. Had a few owners. You can obviously tell it's been garaged and used sparingly because the interior is absolutely immaculate. There's no wear on anything. Yeah, it's such a nice place to be. So we drove back from Gloucestershire last Sunday. The car just ate up the miles without any issues at all. The myth about them riding really well is absolutely true. Provided the suspension is working correctly, the car just glides over the roads. It's a really nice ride. I've always wanted one of these cars since I was a kid, so when one came up on Facebook Marketplace, I just grabbed the opportunity to buy it, really. Complete newbie to the Citroen setup. I've had Renaults previously. I had a Renault Clio years ago. I also recently had a Mark 1 Renault 5. The cooling system on those is an absolute pain in the arse to bleed. I've already given this a minor service. I've done plugs, leads, air filter and cap and rotor. The cooling systems on these, do you just top the radiator up and then have the vehicle jacked up at the front so the air escapes in the highest point? I'd welcome some feedback on this. Are there any bleed points maybe on the radiator? If someone could let me know, I'd really appreciate that because I've not worked on a Citroen before. So that's something I want to do and do correctly first time. Just avoiding the air locks. Now, jacking up the vehicle. Obviously, I know you can jack the vehicle up and undo the wheel bolts. That's obvious. But there's a suspension setting on these. You have to put the car into before the vehicle will be high enough to insert a jack. I know this much, but once you've got the car on the jack, will the wheels naturally come down of their own accord so you can then undo the wheel bolts? Because obviously they're tucked up at the moment. I'll read from the instruction book. I've got a I've got a Citroen owner's manual here, kind of given to me by the previous owner, but it's a bit vague as to, or maybe I'm just not reading it right, I don't know. Did that say chocolate? Oh, type of stain. Bizarre. This is a lovely little owner's handbook given to me by the previous owner. It's all in full colour. Find a page worth showing you. Everything's in colour, which is lovely, and in English more importantly. Although I think it's translated from Frenchlish, if that's a thing, because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Hey, look at this. Look at all that. Lovely little colour illustrations. Isn't that sweet? But I digress. So I've just got to show you this. Maintenance of the passenger compartment. Materials to be clean. Type of stain. Chocolate, sweets, cordials, fruit juice, grass, etc. Ordinary ink, not unordinary ink, don't know what that is. Ballpoint or felt tip pen, engine oil, tar and grease, blood and mud. I'm not making that up. Blood. Well, you can go around murdering people? Is that what the French do? I didn't just say that. Anyway, I digress. Maintenance of the vehicle. We're looking for the wheel removal section. There we go, changing wheel. This seems a bit vague. I mean, maybe I'm just reading it wrong, I don't know. If possible, place the car on firm level ground. Okay. Let the engine idle with the handbrake set. Fair enough. Set the ground clearance selector to the maximum height. That much I knew. Loosen the screw retaining and wheel holder. That's removing the wheel from the back of the vehicle. Okay, I'll skip that section. Insert the jack to the jacking point and extend it so that it touches the ground. So finally winding the jack down so it's making contact with the sill of the car, that's fine. remove the wheel trim, loosen the 4-wheel bolt and jack up the car again until the wheel is a few centimetres off the ground. So I was watching a video online the other day of a DS wheel removal. The gentleman jacked the vehicle up, and as he did that the back wheel dropped down. Is that the same on BXs, so it gives you more clearance? Will it naturally drop of its own accord? This is something I want to avoid doing until I'm a bit more certain about it. Maybe I just need to get on with it and do it, but yeah. And also, do you need to leave the engine running while you've got it in the full height mode? If you turn the engine off or the car lower and then potentially damage the sill or the... Do you see what I'm saying? I'm a little bit sort of vague as to what I want to do the right thing. So if someone could let me know about that before I attempted... I don't need to take the wheels off of the member, but it'd be nice to know how to do that without damaging anything. Or other jacking points. I know the centre sill is the favourite, but can you jack it safely from other parts of the vehicle body? If someone could let me know, please. And then just refitting, put it back together again. So yeah, that's my queries and questions over and done with. Yeah, cooling system and just removing the wheel safely. I know that might be blatantly obvious to somebody else who's had one of these cars before, but I don't want to damage anything, so if someone could let me know, I'd really appreciate that in the comments. So this is the cockpit, or the dash if you like, of a Mark II Citroen BX. The earlier ones had much more, were much more retro, much more Citroen if you like. They had funky controls either side of the steering columns. Not too unlike this, but much more 80s as it were. So on this side you've got a hazard switch and a rear wiper control. On the other side of the cluster you've got the rear demister and fog lights, or rear fog I should say. It hasn't got fronts on this model. Fuel gauge, speedo, clock which doesn't work, and temperature controls. There's the manual choke just there. Wiper controls on that where are you going? Wiper controls on that stalk. Horn indicators on the other. In the centre console you've got ventilation there, cigarette lighter socket, heater controls, fan, and directional controls for the heater. It's got an original Philips radio. That works. I won't leave it on too long for copyright reasons. 5-speed manual box. And in the centre console you've got a handbrake control there, and these are your height controls. So if you're changing the wheel, you put it to the top setting here, which raises the vehicle to its maximum height, and then you can do magical things under the vehicle if you wish. And so to the boot. Absolutely loads of space. The rear seats do fold down, giving you even more access for storage and luggage. And then you have a completely flat boot floor on these, giving you even more space because the spare wheel is underneath the car. Yeah, so being an 80s car, you've got all-round excellent visibility. The B-pillars aren't too thick. It's a really comfortable place to be. Everything falls to hand nice and easily. Fingertip controls. Yeah, the only thing I'd say is with the rear sunblinds up, which I've got up today because it's quite warm, it's a bit hard to see over your shoulders when you're reversing, but apart from that, no, it's all good. There is a sunroof. I've not even attempted to open that because it doesn't leak, and I don't want to disturb the sill that's been sat for 30 years in the same position, so that's probably not going to ever get opened. I'm not a firm fan of sunroofs at the best of times, and one that hasn't been open for that, it might be absolutely fine, but I just don't want to jinx it. So coming to the back of the vehicle, I'm glad to report there's no compromise on comfort. They really have thought of everything. I'm quite a tall person, and even with my silly spiky hair there's plenty of headroom. I'm glad to also report that with the front seats back for the passengers, there's still loads of legroom here. I mean, I don't think I'll get uncomfortable, knees alert. I don't think I'll get uncomfortable on a long journey, so that's all good times. Yeah, it's amazingly comfortable. I don't feel hemmed in at all. Still light and airy. I think the amount of glass really does aid that, and you don't feel like you're in a tight space. So no, I think I'll be quite comfortable on a long journey if I was ever driving myself around, which won't happen. I'm really enjoying owning a BX. It's a car I've wanted for a long time. I think between the two of us we're going to do some serious miles this year. I've got a few car shows coming up, so I'm really looking forward to getting the car out on display and getting people seeing it and getting me behind the wheel and enjoying it more importantly. So just before I go, thank you ever so much to the people who put forward name suggestions for this car. I was really struggling to name it and come up with a name for her, but after some thinking and some consideration and some comments, ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Beatrix the BX. Thanks for watching.